Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Hogarth's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, or know your nation. Know yourself. The two are interchangeable. Okay, it is time for another archetypal reading. Yeah, it's time for another archetypal reading, and this time it is going to be Putinshka. Yes, Patinchka. Now, as you know, the first time I tried this, I had some sound issues, but I think I fixed it now. Yeah, I have muted the my phone, stuck in the headphones, so we don't get the reverb, and it's sounding okay, and it's sounding good like it did last time. So let's get stuck in. Now, you know the format now. If you have not seen my Trump archetypes video, I suggest checking it out. Yeah, because that's where I explain the whole process and the whole technique. Now, in the interest of saving time, I have picked what I believe to be Putin's archetypes in advance. Now, remember with this technique, so this is a technique that I pioneered some years ago, came to me as a massive download, a gift from Uranus, as I often describe. And it is a technique that I've been using now. Ooh, when did it come to me? Must be about 5 or 6 years ago now. Anyway, and it's a technique that I've been using myself for years now. I've done hundreds of these archetypal consultations for my clients, and I often consider it my best work, particularly when combined with the astrology. So it's a unique technique specific to me. My clients will get, when they come to me for the consultation, they get a printout and everything like that. That is not with all bits filled in. That's not necessary here. This is more just about showing the technique to give us some insights into Putin, yeah, or Putinshka. Now, I have to be careful here because my Duck L'Orange Trump video, although very successful, many of you have watched it, it was sort of like the monetization, they sort of messed it up. Yeah, let me tell you, this tube, let's just say that way, because they do voice and they do electronic scanning and stuff like that. There is a lot more restrictions than people think. Anyway, so as you know, with this technique, I used what I refer to as a 12 house system. So it's 12 cards in total. And what is that you've got 4 survival archetypes. There's always a child archetype. Then let's say the working girl, because I won't use the P word. Yeah, I won't use the P word because that's probably actually one of what may have got the video not taken down, but, compromised, as it were, when I was talking about Duck L'Orange. We have a victim and a saboteur. Yeah. So I won't even show that card that much, but there's the working girl, or shall we say the cool girl, shall we say? We have the victim and we have the saboteur, yeah, which are here, yeah, these cards. Then there's always a child archetype, and there's lots of different types of children and stuff like that. You've got the magical child, the divine child, the eternal child. You've got the invisible child, which is one of mine, the abandoned child, so on and so forth, and the orphan. And the child archetype that I've chosen for Putin, believe it or not, you may think, oh, that's a bit weird. I've chosen the nature child. Now, why? Why have I chosen the nature child? And you're probably thinking, what? Him in nature? Well, look, let's not forget, Putinshka is very fond of having himself shown out in nature. Let's not forget him on horseback, yeah, with the animals and all of this kind of stuff, with his chest out, yeah, doing all of that kind of stuff. And let's not also forget, too, he also flew in one of those, I think they're called microlights. And he had the geese or the swans or wherever it was flying after him as if he were the mothership. Yeah, this is from years ago. So obviously he does have an affinity with nature, but it's more likely to be on the shadow side. So I read the shadow and the light. So the light side of the nature child, many of you may be this, is friendship with animals, communication with nature spirits. But the shadow side is a tendency to abuse animals, people, and the environment. So obviously, On the shadow side, shall we say, Patichka can certainly qualify on that. I've also chosen 8 archetypes for him here. And what I'm going to do is, rather than tell you what they all are, let's just see where they turn up in the reading, because I'll just be explaining to everyone how it works. Now, what I'm going to do here, you see, I've got the 4 survival archetypes and the 8 others to create 12. So I'm just shuffling them. So I don't know where they are. And then I'm going to create 2 lines of 6 like I did last time for Duck L'Orange. So let's go. Let's make sure you can see that. Let's go here. Let's see if I can. I don't think I can get that to go down any lower. Let's see, and then we'll get the one underneath. And don't worry, I'll be holding up the cards to camera. And I love this technique. This technique is an excellent way to gain deeper insights into a person's character, especially on the deep psychological levels, which I did obviously for Duck L'Orange. Oh, is this going to fit? Let's maybe move a little bit down like this, just to give us a bit more view. And like I said, I've done this technique hundreds of times, a bit more detailed for clients, of course. And again, for entertainment purposes only. I also did the archetypes for Navalny 3 years ago now. And of course, it all came absolutely true, all of it. And even his sad demise, unfortunately. This video is going to go out to the Chalice of Light membership guys first. And that means you'll probably, pardon me, you might see this, the public might see this next, either late this week or later next week. I've also as well, depending on which order you guys see this, I've also done a video, not archetypes, I've done the astrology for Catherine, yeah, and William. Honestly, I've never done her chart before, but let me tell you, it was very revealing. Very revealing. So but I won't go into too much detail on that. You guys will just have to watch the video when it's out. This is going to membership first. So again, Catherine's video, it'll either be towards the end of this week. Today's date is the 21st of February 2024, either end of this week or early next week. Okay, so we're going to go through the selection process. Now, normally I would have my clients, I will hover the token, yeah, above the cards, and they would tell me where to drop it, yeah, and that's how their higher self chooses, yeah, this is how their higher self chooses. Now, of course, I do not have the benefit of Patichka on the other line telling me where to drop the tokens, obviously. Not that he would want to be part of that, yeah. So I'm going to have to use my intuition. I'm going to tune in with his cards. Remember, I don't know where, in which order they are in now, and I can't even remember all the ones I picked for him. And I'm going to allow my higher consciousness to guide me as to where to put the correct numbered token. Yeah. All right. So this won't take too long. This is a process of 12 tokens on 12 cards, and then we'll go to the next stage. All right. Token number 1. Let's see here. Oh, I'm feeling there already. Token number 2. There. Token number 3. Oh, it is that one. All right. Token number 4. I think it's that one. And this technique is called the Archetypal Blueprint. Many of you who are psychologists and counselors have got in touch to say how much you love this technique and that you'd like to use it with your own clients. I would say, please do, but just give me a credit because it is my original idea. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think anyone does the archetypes like this. So if you would say it's Hogarth's Archetypal Blueprint technique or Hogarth's technique, you're welcome to use it, but please don't try and pass it off as your own, and you'll just get caught out anyway because it's all documented here in public. Anyway, fifth, we need to, look after our intellectual property, Anyway. There. Token number 6. Yeah, I'm feeling it on this one. Okay, token number 7. Feel like it's there. Token number 8. No. I think it's there. Token number 9. There. Token number 10. I feel it's there. Token number 11. It's there. And this is 12. Now I'm going to put them in numerological order. And let me just find a chart here that I filled in. That's already filled in from a client. 1 minute. Just so I can, when I'm reading off what needs to be read, obviously I won't reveal who the client is. There we are. This is already, it's already filled in this, but I want to read off the text just so you can see. All right, now I'm going to put them in numerological order. Okay, let's tidy this up. All right, so just so you guys know what's going on, let me move down a little bit. The top line is what is publicly known. This is what is publicly known about Putinshka, his various kind of machinations, plans, all the stuff that is probably already in the news. Yeah. The lower line, however, talks about much more about his internal world, things that we don't know about him or things he may not even be fully aware of himself. Yeah. Unlikely with Putin because, like I say, I believe him to be a very powerful magician, and I'll leave it there. I'd be surprised if he doesn't know himself very well, which I think he does. What we also pay attention to is who is next to each other or who is next to each other. I'll show you here. Upstairs and downstairs to each other, and also diagonal. Those cards will be having conversations with each other and will fill in parts of the story. Houses 1, 2, 7, and 8 will be somehow foundational to Putinshka's personality, formed in childhood, developed in adulthood, etc., but it will be foundational. Houses 4 to 10 will always speak about the internal world, the heart chakra, and the home, and the career, 10th house. And the last two cards, as you guys would have seen on the Trump video, will somehow sum up what the whole reading is about. When I'm doing this with my clients, I say every card is perfect, particularly if they are picking and it's their higher self, because it truly is, and it is like alchemy. Of course, I had to pick today, and I had to channel to know where to drop the token based on what my higher self was guiding me to do. Yeah. And now let's begin. Is there anything else I need to remember? No, I don't think there is. All right, I'm going to read off here. So house number one. This deals with the ego, the self. This is the CEO of your archetypal company that leads the way. The key word here is I am, and it's relative to Aries. So this is the ego, the I consciousness. Let's see who's running the show for Putinshka. How interesting. Here we have the nature child. And you're probably thinking, him, nature child? But think about it. Russia is one of the biggest land masses on Earth. I can't remember how many time zones it is. I think it's like 9, 10, or 11. I forget, but it's a lot. Now, of course, because we're talking about Putinshka, he's not really going to be that much in the light, is he, of these cards? But let's look at the shadow, which I've already read. Light part: friendship with animals, communication with nature, spirits. So he could indeed have a spiritual side to him that we're not aware of. Yeah, I don't want to project too much light into the guy, but you know what I mean, could be there. But the shadow attribute: tendency to abuse animals, people, and the environment. Wow, is that not just bang on? Yeah. Obviously, we see the demise of a certain Navalny, which, of course, I predicted, sadly, 3 years ago now. And I said, and one of my nicknames for Putinshka as well is Black Widow as well. Isn't it funny that? The spider. And I said, what will happen is he'll be arrested, which he was, be locked away on trumped up charges, which he was. And then I said, Putin will then put him way out in some gulag somewhere where he'll perish. Sadly, that's happened. I still don't believe it was necessarily Putinshka's intention that he go at this time, because the timing is very inconvenient for Putin. You don't want one of your chief kind of critics and martyred before your elections. So whatever people are saying, think about the logic of that. No, he wanted to have the election. We know who's going to win. And then quietly, he would have been allowed to go, maybe taken out maybe a few months from now. But the timing for me, I think someone overreached their authority and acted too hastily in regards to Navalny. Yeah, I don't think, of course, it is Putin's fault. He's ultimately responsible, but I'm just saying the timing for me doesn't quite work. I think it was someone that went too far. Putin's annoyed about it, and of course he now has to take responsibility for it. So there we are. Tendency to abuse animals or people and or the environment. So he's probably in the shadow of that, although he could have some spiritual side to him. Apparently, I think he did. They say he did kind of was, I'm not going to even use certain words, let's just say a little bit cruel with animals when he was growing up. But I also suspect he might have a bit of an affinity with animals as well. All right, number 2. So this is the second house. So this is real estate, possessions and life values, stored resources, potential earnings / savings, or financial blocks, which he doesn't have because Putin, of course, is the richest man in the world. Do you remember I've been saying this for a while? That guy is a trillionaire. Yeah, trillions. I think even Nancy Pelosi said that the other day. It's true. The others are dwarves in comparison. Even the billionaires. Let me tell you, he's one of the richest men in the world by a long shot. With, I would say, Xi Jinping probably a close second. Anyway, so real estate, possessions and life values, stored resources, potential earnings / savings or financial blocks. The voice, food and the practicalities of the body. The key word here is I have, and it's relative to Taurus. So let's see what's going on in terms of Putin's values and money and how he's controlling assets, even education, speech. Let's have a look. Oh, I knew it. I had a feeling. The trickster. Does that not exemplify? I picked this card out earlier. What is the trickster? The light attribute transcends convention, stuffiness, and predictable behavior. Yeah, he's certainly unpredictable. Shadow attribute, manipulating others through duplicity. Now, you remember, as I've been reading, with Putinshka, and I've been saying, what is under the Empress's skirt? What is he most well known for? Yeah, this kind of trickster energy. He has an extreme ability to be able to twist and turn. He is a master at propaganda, polemic. He is a sophist. Yeah, a sophist. Now, what is a sophist? A sophist is someone who is effectively able to argue for arguments they themselves may not necessarily believe in, but they enjoy the discourse and the frisson of engaging in such things. It is part of an intellectual skill. He is intelligent. Let's not pretend that he's not. He is. Yeah, and he's been running circles around you know who and whatever, Duck Larange and elements of the GOP for years. So the trickster, think of the trickster. This is the trickster archetype, is the one that can do the sleight of hand, the one that can make the coin disappear under the cups. He's constantly moving things around, the shifting sands, making sure that those in the West or his enemies or even his allies are never quite 100% sure what he's doing. You saw he had that interview, of course, recently with a certain Tucker Carlson, who got used, obviously. Yeah, easy to predict that would happen. And everyone was expecting, Putinshka to endorse, Trump, etc., because, of course, Trump has nothing but lavish praise for him. And he says, Trump's unpredictable. I prefer Biden. Yeah. So it was kind of just slashed the tires in many ways of Tucker Carlson and stuff. Who's probably feeling a little bit robbed, but there you are. Look, I would have lost respect for Putin if he'd actually hadn't played it any other way than he did, because it was an important piece of propaganda. Yeah. And because a lot of people were saying, well, it wasn't really true, the things that he's saying. Well, yeah, of course not. But there were some truths in there as well. I still recommend to people, watch the interview. It is 2 hours and 7 minutes. Oh, my God, it takes some patience. But it's very interesting. He's also very articulate. And even if what he was relaying in terms of history, they said wasn't true, the fact that he has that kind of recall and is even able to play that game already shows you that he is a person who is well versed in the timelines of history, and he just plays the trickster with it. And of course, the second house also deals with values, money, speech. Perfect. Okay? All right. Next one. I call it, this is the third house. I call this the PR department. Communication style and siblings or friends that are like family, neighbors, short travel, weekends away. Keyword here is I say. So this is the spokesperson that is literally dealing with the media. So the trickster in many ways is Putinshka's values, the foundation of who he is in many ways. Let's see who's the spokesperson rather. The media, how he deals with the media. I forgot I picked this. Midas, miser. This is so interesting. The light attributes. Entrepreneurial or creative ability to run anything or to turn anything to gold. Delight in sharing life's riches is obviously not sharing that stuff. Shadow attribute. Hoarding money and emotions, obsessive fear of losing your wealth. Now, this is really, really interesting because as wealthy as he is, I think there is a certain insecurity there with Putinshka, because of course he's always making sure he's the richest one. What we need to remember is the third house also deals with entrepreneurship and business. So in a way, this is kind of like, this is reflecting not only Putinshka's speech and communication, but his actions, his desired actions that he takes. The third house is very much a house of actions as an oligarch himself. But because he's got that Midas miser, let's not forget, when people would start getting too rich, perhaps too rich for his liking, that's it, or too influential, they get locked up. The miser part comes out. He's enabled and made a lot of people tremendously wealthy in Russia. People agree that you can't be an oligarch without Putin's blessing. But if you get too rich, if you challenge him too much, the miser part comes out. As what's his name? I can't remember what he's called, but there was that guy that was locked up for 10 years. You remember he used to be the richest man in Russia, apparently on paper, got too rich, wanted to run against Putin, got locked up for 10 years, and now he's living in exile in London, probably in Chelsea somewhere. So we can see here, but that miserliness as well can also express itself in terms of his communication, as Tucker Carlson has just found out. Tucker, of course, felt he hit the jackpot, and in many ways he did. And I still think it was actually quite a valid interview, because it's important to hear and learn the psychology, yeah, trying to get some insights. And even if one may not necessarily agree with what the insights are, it was still an important piece of reportage. But of course, Tucker was out of his depth, got totally used by Putinshka, and Putin was kind of miserly with his praise. Yeah, because that's what Tucker would have been expecting, wasn't it? With a big up from, you know, one of the most powerful men in the world. And Putin was like, oh, you know what? I didn't really find the interview that interesting. Slap. Psh, psh, psh. And, you know, he was probably expecting a ringing endorsement to come out of Putinshka's lips for Duck L'Orange. And then he endorses Biden. Do you see? So there is that Midas miser. There is that golden tongue and the withering one. Anyway, let's look at the fourth house. So I refer to this as when away from work, the home, growing up or current, history, emotions, nurturing or not, working from home. The key word here is I need, and it's relative to Cancer. So this is going to talk about Putinshka's heart chakra, but also as well potentially his upbringing and his relationship with his mother. Let's see who's here. Oh, wow. The Destroyer. Is that not profound? No. He has the Destroyer in his heart. In his heart. But this is also talking about the relationship as well, potentially with the mother. Now, do you remember where I said I identified? I said these sort of like GOP types, you know, definitely Tucker Carlson and Duck L'Orange, of course, are all having mother wounds, mother wounds. Let me tell you this. There may not be that much compassion for Putinshka, yeah, understandably. Many people have died and this, that, and the other. But remember what I've said in my videos. He has had an exceptionally difficult childhood, exceptionally difficult childhood. And this destroyer element here only emphasizes that all the more. You don't become that cruel overnight. No one's born that way, unless you're the absolute Antichrist. And even then, you still have to have a childhood. So what this suggests here, like I said, it's the heart chakra. But it can also discuss the energy of the mother. So let me just read some of the light and shadow. Light attributes, really releasing what is potentially destructive, preparing for a new life. Shadow attributes, intoxication with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. Ah, right there in the heart chakra. So what this also suggests is, for entertainment purposes only, This can show here in many ways potentially how Putinshka's heart may have been destroyed in regards to his relationship with his mother, which was a very difficult one. I think he really did not fare well, and particularly with his mother's partners in particular. I'm not actually going to go that much into detail on it in terms of this public platform, but it's very difficult. Of course, he's an adult now. He doesn't necessarily have to behave the way that he does, but one can understand with the placement of the destroyer there in the heart chakra, which is supposed to be a place of love, comfort, security, mothering love. Wow, the volcano is there, explosive. So I think in many ways that shows a lot, doesn't it? All right, let's see who's in the fifth house. The fifth house deals with, I call this the events manager, creativity, romance, luck, education. It can also deal with children and or brain babies, opportunities, good hunches, gambling, and fun. The key word here is I lead, and it's relative to Leo, and it can also mean I create. So let's see if Putinshka is having any fun or what he may delight in doing. Let's have a look. Oh, the judge. Wow. Okay, let's take this literally. There is a delight that he has in judging others, judging people. Think of the judgments that were brought down against his great rival, his only true rival, who has now perished. Isn't that remarkable? I'm going to read for you the light attributes: balancing justice and compassion, managing the fair distribution of power. That's the light attribute. But here's the shadow, which of course is Putinshka. Offering only destructive criticism, misusing business, legal, or criminal authority. Wow. Here he's got that in the fifth house of pleasure. So, I mean, flipping this around, this could mean actually as well that Putinshka is actually quite a harsh critic in terms of his own internal voice. To an extent, he probably ensues a lot of pleasure in his life. He probably takes a little pleasure here and there, but it's like it is kind of turned round here, where the pleasure, as it were, the creativity, is dreaming up of how he can pass judgments against his rivals. Isn't that pertinent? Because we know it to be true. He uses the courts to pass down these judgments. Navalny was only the most recent, but he's done this tons of time. It's actually one of his favorite moves. The fifth house is the things that we do for the love of it. So there, the judge. Wow. All right, coming to the last one on the top line. Hope you're enjoying this, and please don't forget to like and subscribe and to share if you'd like to support my channel, particularly if you've seen a few of my videos now. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would be fantastic, because it will help this content reach other people so that they can benefit from these insights that I'm sharing here. All right, sixth house. I call this the HR department: day job, career, practicalities, employees / colleagues, adversity from others. All this could talk about war, strategy, health, routines, details, nitpicking. The key word here is I work. So let's see who's in the workhouse, which archetype is fulfilling the chores, the drudgery. The sixth house I refer to as the salad bowl of life, but it also can deal with open enemies as well, like the seventh house. But this is literally where the misfortune or the conflict may happen. So if it's a more positive card, he may take joy and pleasure in his routines. If it's more difficult, maybe, not so good. So let's see who's in the sixth. Look at that. The victim. Oh my gosh. The victim. You remember I said this could deal with war, conflict. I think Putinshka is actually feeling the effects of this war a lot more than he may be letting on. I mean, obviously, he's not going to say, oh, God, this is going really bad, boo-hoo. No, of course not. But the fact that the victim is here in terms of conflict in terms of the day job, the drudgery. This is what this is saying to me, is that the war in Ukraine has been in the Ukraine has become drudgery. It's become repetitive. It's like a stalemate, as we've seen. It's not progressing. It's not going further. The irony is, although he staged the invasion, he's actually feeling victimized by the situation, and he's not getting much reward or joy out of it either. Yeah. Because so if we look here, light attribute prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. Shadow attribute, playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity, inability to maintain personal boundaries. And by the way, these are the it's the Caroline Myss deck, yeah, of Jungian archetypes. Fabulous deck. I recommend getting it. So here we see there is an element as well for him as president, or shall we say Tsar, because that's really what he is. He is the Tsar of Russia, the richest man in the world. It shows that there's a tremendous amount of drudgery, repetitive work, or even boredom, frustration in terms of managing all of that. But this, because the 6th house also deals with conflict and war, this is also showing that he's feeling bogged down. It's draining resources. It's taking time, but he's still doing it anyway. The victim can also become the victor as well. So, of course, he's also determined to turn this victimization situation around. And, of course, with his allies and aides in the you-know-where, basically, they've just gone on for 2 weeks of holiday, just in case you wanted to figure out who it is. To do with US politics. Again, I don't want the video to be compromised. You know, he's trying to win in that way. Putinshka is never going to give up, by the way. He's never going to give up. All right. Now we get to the lower line. Yeah. So again, just a reminder, the lower line is much more about the internal world, things that we may not know about Putinshka, or he may not necessarily know about himself. I think he does know himself. He's a very intelligent person. Wicked, but very intelligent. All right, here we go. The 7th house, I call this the contracts and due diligence department. Business, partnerships, can deal with marriage, important contracts, key relationships. The key word here is I balance, and it's relative to Libra. So the 7th house is anyone that's not us. It is the outside world, trades, imports, goods, services. This could also speak about China, potentially Xi Jinping, or Iran, or whoever is partnership with. It's also, 7th house can also be open enemies. So if it's a more beneficial card, this will be talking about trade deals backwards and forwards with, you know, his nearest allies. And if it's more, this could also as well talk about his allies overseas. Yeah, with quite a few of them in the American politics. Let's just put it that way. Let's see who's here. Ah, wow. The saboteur. Isn't that incredible? The saboteur. Putinshka's relationship with the outside world is one of sabotage, quite literally. Sabotage. Wow. It also shows as well people that he's in partnership with. Because here in this card, the guy is in the hot air balloon and he's holding a sharp pin. You can't really see it. So it's almost like it's like what he did with Tucker, wasn't it? Partnered with him and then sabotaged the outcome, popped his bubble. But this is also showing as well, remember the 7th house is the outside world. It can also deal with open enemies, one that one is doing partnerships with, or one's expression in the world. So we can see here sabotage is a big part of it. So the light attributes highlights your fear of self-empowerment and the changes it would bring to his life. Putinshka clearly does not have that fear. Shadow attribute, which is probably much more like him, induces self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others. It can also show as well how one may have felt undermined by other people. So this suggests issues in marriage, potentially as well, maybe with spouses, wives, etc. Obviously, you know, he's been through quite a lot in his childhood and stuff like that. So he's probably not going to be the easiest person to have a relationship with, one could imagine. He may have even felt sabotaged as well, quite literally, by the relationships he's had, especially in his formative years. Why do I say the formative years? Because look who's above, yeah? The nature child, childhood. So here, particularly in childhood, we could see that he had to deal with a lot of sabotage from people in the outside world, maybe people that harmed him, almost certainly. And of course, that would also connect with the heart emotions, that destroyer in the heart. I think it's to do with the sabotage that he's faced in his development years. Also, as well, diagonal to the saboteur is the trickster. So he's actually had to face trickery and sabotage in his own life, but as a way to try and empower himself, potentially, he has now flipped it the other way now, and he is no longer the victim, as it were. Wow. Okay, 8th house, my favorite house. Full of juiciness. So I call this the tax and accounts department. Other people's resources, family, in-laws, spouses' money, tax, inheritance, which could be money inheritance, mental or physical. This also deals with the darker side of sex. The occult, the key word here is I use, and it's relative to Scorpio. So let's see who's here. Ah, of course. The God. Yeah, I forgot I selected this one. This is incredible. Yeah. Now remember, the 8th house I refer to as what? The house of sex, death, and rock and roll. It deals with transformation, but it deals a lot with death. Yeah, stuff like that. Remember as well, I said the first houses 1, 2, 7, and 8 will be foundational to Putinshka's personality. So I'll read you the light attribute, and then you read the shadow. Yeah, I'll read the shadow, not you. Light attribute, benevolence and compassion, recognizing the eternal force within yourself and others. But here's the shadow. Despotism and cruelty, using power to control people. Oh my goodness. And he's got it in the 8th house. And look who's above. Yeah, the trickster. So here we see the foundations of Putinshka's personality. And really, we have to read these shadow attributes. Obviously, at certain times in his life, you know, no one's 100% evil or whatever. He's probably embodied at times the positive aspects, because, you know, you can't be cruel to absolutely everyone. But if I read you the shadow of in terms of these foundational cards, shadow of the nature child, tendency to abuse animals, people, and the environment. Shadow of the trickster, manipulating others through duplicity. Shadow of the saboteur, induces self-destructive behavior or the desire to undermine others. Shadow of the god, despotism and cruelty, using power to control people. Voila! The foundation has emerged. And if you look here, the god is diagonal to the Midas miser as well. Look at that. He's the emperor of sabotage. All right, let's go to the 9th house. What's this all about? The 9th house. This is what I call the mission statement / philosophy / intellectual property, personal philosophy, religion, seeking knowledge, education, big travels. The key word here is I seek. So it deals with one's beliefs, one's ideas, one's raison d'etre, why one is doing things in a bigger, wider context. Let's have a look. His ideas, his philosophies. Ah, the detective or the spy. Yeah, the detective, because look at the picture here. It's brilliant. You've got a woman's face, and there it is with holding up a book, but there's a hole in it. So light attribute, great powers of observation and intuition, desire to seek out the truth. Yeah, he does have great powers of observation. Got to give him that one. Shadow attributes, voyeurism or falsifying information, but it's fallen into the 9th house. So this is what his philosophy of what? Propaganda. which is his philosophy going forward. Remember, I'm always talking about non-linear warfare. Look who's above, the spokesperson, the Midas miser. So here what we have is a very exceptionally cunning person who's always on the lookout for the sucker or someone that he can manipulate in some kind of way, but he's very observant. He's got that voyeuristic element where he observes and he reads the room, uses his intuition. Yeah, great powers of observation and intuition. Yeah, he does have that. I'm not trying to big him up, but it's just true. Yeah, you don't survive as long as he has. I mean, he's probably had at least 10 attempts on his life, by the way, guys. I would say at least 10 attempts at poisoning, this, that, and the other. So he literally has to stay switched on. Otherwise, he wouldn't survive. He has to be the constant detective, doesn't he? Checking his food, getting people to check his food, using body doubles. Obviously, he will use pseudonyms as well. He is known to have a secret train, luxury train disguised as some bog standard clapped out train that he travels around with. He's got his secret properties as well, you know, his secret dashes and this, that, and the other, which Navalny exposed, much to his chagrin. So this is someone as well, it shows that he's also deeply private. He has a deep, private inner world, the likes of which of us will never really be able to know or explore. I think it would be very difficult to get to know him, particularly as well if we see here the destroyer in the heart is diagonal to the detective, and the trickster is also diagonal as well. So we're dealing with someone with who has a tremendous flair and skill for manipulation and mind games, compromat. Yeah, gaslighting. You never quite know where you are with Putinshka. All right. That's incredible, isn't it? 10th house. So I call this promotion and recognition after working for it. Highest potential ideal career. Climb it to the crown of gold. Public life. The key word here is I achieve, and it's relative to Capricorn. So let's see what some of his highest achievements, what he still potentially wants for himself or Russia, but primarily maybe himself, really. Let's see what some of these ambitions or goals are, or not. Let's have a look. I might have to cover this card. The working girl, or the hook, you know what. Yeah. Wow. In the 10th. What does that tell me? What this says is, on the world stage, it's like, here, look, I'll just read this for you. Light attribute accentuates the challenge of surviving without negotiating the power of your spirit. Shadow attribute places material considerations and security above self-empowerment. Now, of course, we know that he's a self-empowered person, but this is the global stage. And what this makes me think of, I think at certain times in his political life, Putinshka may have thought that he sold himself out, particularly to the West, on the global stage. Now, why do I say that? In his interview, there was something that he said that was very true. And this is on the record. This is well known. At one stage, Russia did want to join NATO. Yeah. But they were turned down. America said no. And I think it led to a kind of shame and a frustration, which he actually alluded to. But I think there was an element there where he thought, I'm never going to do that again. Yeah, I'm never going to sell myself that way on the stage. And I think also as well, let's not forget, he said the fall of the USSR was one of the greatest tragedies in, I think he said, Russian history, if not global history. But look who's above. Yeah, let's not forget, look who's above. These are fabulous cards, Caroline Mace's deck. The Destroyer. So this is really telling us a lot, which is like the way I sense, the way I'm reading into it is this. Putin was like, I was willing to trade with you, make deals with you, because let's not forget the working girl is also about business, but this is also the global stage. And you snubbed me, you shamed me, and you rejected me. So now I may as well destroy you. Yeah? What's under the empress's skirts, as you heard me say, this is part of, in his heart, there is a desire to destroy the other, and particularly I would say the United States, because of the snubbing. He felt he cheapened himself by trying to ingratiate himself with elements of the West. But we've got to remember this was much earlier on in his presidency. I think we're talking in the early 2000s. Someone could actually find out for me, that would be great, because obviously I can't go on the internet now. But there was a time where he was prepared to trade. Let's not forget the working girl is also about business, contracts, yeah, of all kinds. Win-win situation. So it shows on the global stage he was willing to negotiate and participate to an extent, but it went wrong. And then when we look here, the detective is near here, so he always suspected that there could be some element of double crossing. Here, the Midas miser, he feels maybe on the international stage people have been stingy with him. Yeah, in terms of his trade, the prosperity for Russia and stuff like that, stuff that he's spoken about before. I'm not being his spokesperson, I'm just reading the cards. But look, we see here the judge is diagonal. So now I think he judges. I think he judges himself. Do you remember I said there was that self-critical element that could be there as well? I think he's judged himself quite harshly for trying to make good, as it were. And now it's much more about the destroyer. Now it's literally much more about judgment of his either the West or people he considers not up to his values or what have you. Fascinating. Fascinating. Hope you're enjoying this recording. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Share this with others so people can get the insights, because no one's doing this. Not a detriment to anyone else, but not this technique. This is unique. All right, let's have a look here. Now, the 11th house. So I call this the outreach department, the network, the house of gains, public finance, the wider world, community, social media, charity, philanthropy, giving back. The key word here is I share. So let's see. This could be how Putinska feels about the global family, as it were, or, you know, global trade. 11th house is also great gains, influential people, that kind of thing. Let's have a look here. Ah, wow. The shapeshifter. I forgot I put this one in, the shapeshifter. Isn't that appropriate? What this says is that in regards to social media, like 11th house is also social media. So let's think about this from a propaganda point of view. Putinska literally shape shifts his message, nuanced in different ways. He's speaking different things to different people depending on who's listening. So it is never that consistent message. So, and remember as well, Facebook, I think, had to apologize, didn't they, for not having enough scrutiny and stuff like that. Remember, the 11th house is also powerful and influential people. So this could speak to someone like a Zuckerberg or, you know, or whatever. It also shows he has powerful people working on that image, on that social media, on that global stage as well, because the 11th house does deal with that as well. It's very international. So I'll read you the light attributes: skill at navigating through difficult levels of consciousness, ability to see the potential in everything. So obviously, you know, he's not a one-dimensional thinker. Shadow attribute: projecting any image that serves your personal agenda in the moment. Wow, that is Putinska all over, I would say. We saw that with the Tucker interview, and look who's above. Yeah, the judge. So here, what this it shows, and if we look here, you got the trickster, the detective. You've got the God, you've got the destroyer, but he's also that shapeshifter, that always kind of adapting, nuancing, thinking, a slippery kind of character, which of course is how he has survived, because he had to work his way through up the KGB, which is now called the FSB, all of the political intrigues and ups and downs. He's had to be many things to many people, and I think this is one of his most powerful survival mechanisms, particularly when it comes to those that are powerful and influential. He's been able to shape shift with powerful people by being what they want him to be at the time, but then being able to take advantage of that in order to advance his own agenda. Wow. Wow. I hope you guys are finding this interesting. Okay, final house. Call this the basement, the subconscious, the taboo, bondage, yet limitless, the deepest shadow, also the highest light, the collective unconscious, karmic lessons, dreams, all is one. One is in the all, the dragons. The key word here is I am all and nothing, and it's relative to Pisces. So let's see who's in his 12th house, his subconscious house, his hidden place. Ah, I forgot this. Look. The Alchemist. Wow. Do you remember I said, yeah? I said he is a powerful magician, Putinshka. He really is. He really, really is. Because the Alchemist is also another word for a wizard, yeah? Wizard. But what this shows is that look, the shapeshifter is next door. So it shows he's always alchemizing, blending, thinking up of things, shape shifting, moving the goalpost, the ground. Those of his enemies that tried to attack him, they never quite sure know how, because he's always changing things up, maybe changing passwords, but the body doubles and stuff like that. But look here, the alchemist is also pouring liquids in. This can also deal with what? Poison. Look, you see, blending, mixing. So here we can see the alchemy. This could remember, those that can heal can also harm. There's that element there. There's that wizard energy, or the magician kind of coming through. He literally does that kind of alchemy, concocting things. Stealth as a weapon, magic potentially as a weapon, the light attribute, transformation of base motives and goals into golden wisdom, shadow attribute, misuse of power and knowledge that come through spiritual practice. So look, I've long believed that I'm not even going to say his name actually, but a very famous magician who used to work with one of the czars, yeah, used to help. It begins with R. And the last part is actually Putin, and he used to work with the Tsarina and the Tsar because their son had what's it called? He was a hemophiliac, yeah, and he was the only one that could help stop it. Anyway, and Boney M wrote a very famous song about him. Here, like I said, the last two cards will somehow sum up what the whole reading is about. The victim here, victim/victor in the 6th house, shows how he's feeling bogged down by the war, by the conflict, wanting to find a way to get out of it. There's an element of drudgery, repetition and stuff like that in regards to his day job, the managing of Russia. But this war is a real drain. It's not fun anymore. He wasn't expecting it to be this long drawn out thing, irrespective of what he says. He was expecting it to be quick and install a puppet government and just carry on with all of the rest of his machinations. It's proved a lot more difficult. But he's also using the alchemist as well. This is a master blender, master controller, someone who understands the essence and the importance of timing, saying the right thing at the right time, doing the right thing at the right time, mixing the right ingredient with the right, combining people, the espionage. Look, the alchemist next to the shapeshifter, and it's there with the judge. So being astute, judging things accurately. So we can see here, this is really quite a formidable character that the world is dealing with here. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. There are many resources going on here, and his infiltration and his ability to use that trickster as well, plus with that God energy. This is someone who's like, when I close my eyes, it's like a greased snake, or not even an eel. It's, for me, when I close my eyes and I think of Putinshka, I always get the cobra. Yeah, that kind of kundalini, but it's that dark magic. He's just gone to that darker side. If he decided to do good, he could do tremendous good. But it is where it is. So here we see he's alchemizing, trying to find a way forward to turn the victim into the victor in regards to the war, doing all sorts, shape shifting, adapting, thinking of new strategies to kind of get essentially what he wants, to have this destruction here, destruction pretty much of the West in general, but especially America, I would say, because he felt slighted on the world stage when he reached out his hand in an effort of compromise, and he criticized himself for that. I think he chastised himself for that with the judge there, diagonal, and he was like, I'm never going to do that again. Yeah, the Midas miser. I've tried my best. I may as well just destroy, you know, the lot. However, what I would say is as well, one download that I got, who wants to be the emperor of ruins? Yeah, no one. So there is that element there. It's not about destroying the whole world. I think it's about destroying his enemies and using subtle behavior to get his enemies to destroy themselves from within. And, you know, there's a pretty fair argument to say that, you know, make sure the cards aren't upside down, that he may be succeeding on a certain level. I mean, just look, you know, all you have to do is just look at the GOP. I'm going to pull some cards. I'm going to pull 5 cards. Let's turn this into a little bit of a tarot reading, and I will wrap it up. I hope you have found this interesting, guys. I certainly did. Wow. All right. Putinshka, what's going on? The energy. Some people are saying that his downfall is not far. Oh, but let's not underestimate this person. This is an extremely clever. Oh, but look what fell out. The death card. Wow. Transformation is on the way for potential. Oh, look who's on the bottom. The magician. Wow. My goodness, those 2 cards say a lot, don't they? It's turned up in the obstacle position. Let's see what the other 3 are. Putinshka, what's going on? It's kind of stinky fish is here. A challenging message. The hermit's feeling isolated and paranoid. Money, but also a potential victory. Let's have a look here. All right. He gets the death card, but as we know, the death is really about transformation. But this is also the death of a certain Navalny, yeah? Trampled his rival, yeah? And here it's almost like here, it's like here, this is the, you see the begging here, this is with the Pope, but this is almost like Navalny's mother begging for the body to come back, and relentless, ruthless death, yeah? We look here in the obstacle position, we get the magician. So I think Navalny going at this time has kind of stymied him a little bit. We can consider it reversed, but also as well. Now, isn't it funny that he gets the magician? And I said he is a very powerful magician. He's got the alchemist there. So again, spirit just confirming what I know to be true. He's a powerful wizard. But if we look here, it's also in the reverse position because it's the obstacle, which of course means manipulation and control of all kinds, which has already been made abundantly clear. There is a potentially unpleasant message maybe coming for Putinshka. I think this is, of course, a lot to do as well with the death of course, Navalny, which has come at that awkward time. I genuinely believe it wasn't meant to be at this time. Think about it. He's going forward for election. We all know he's going to win, but it's not a great look. Yeah. If we look here, we've got the hermit here in reverse. So that can mean feeling isolated, having to withdraw. So in a way, that's holding a bit of that energy of the victim card in the 6th house. He's rethinking, recalibrating, re-strategizing. Obviously with the body, they're gonna either have to kind of remove all traces of the drugs or evidence of the brutalization potentially you may have had. But I think it's maybe to remove toxins or just to make things look better than they really are. And then we look here, we get the Ace card as an outcome, which would of course speak of victory, isn't it, and success of some shape or form. But it can also be fool's gold. I think I'm going to need to pull a clarifier on that to see what spirit means by this Ace of Pentacles for Putinshka. He's thinking of a winning strategy, of course. Let me see here. Oh look, that's Biden. Biden showed up. King of Swords. Well. King of Cups, Biden. King of Swords, legality, sharpness, wit, cunning, intelligence. 4 of Swords, being wounded in battle, having to take a step back. Okay, I'm just going to say it. I think he wants to take, Biden out in some shape or form, or someone's going to have to take a back seat. I wasn't expecting that at all. Biden might have to take a back seat after some kind of legal decision, or there's something here as well, something to do with the mind, the intellect. Wow, I wasn't expecting that at all. If that happens, that could help Putinshka. Wow. Okay, wasn't expecting that. As you know, I just say what I see without fear or favor. Got a bit extra there, didn't you, folks? I wasn't expecting that. Bloody hell. Let me know your thoughts on that. I wasn't expecting that at all. So we'll have to see. Biden's going to have to be careful. Yeah. We see we're dealing with a very cunning person here who's got all sorts of methods and means. The shapeshifter, the alchemist. Anyway, I will leave it there. If you found that interesting, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course share. Let me know your thoughts in the comments when you see this. Chalice of Light membership, you guys, you're getting this first, and I'll probably either release this video towards the end of the week or maybe early next week. Thank you, and I hope you found that interesting. Wow, I wasn't expecting that at the end, but you saw the cards for yourself, eh? You saw the cards for yourself. Anyway, I will leave it there. Thank you so much. Mwah! Big love, everyone. And you'll probably see me on either next Thursday, Fry Up, or Hogarth. All right, I'll leave it there for now. Bye-bye. Cheers.